Morning, GrrCON. How y'all doing? Woo. Man, okay. I got a little bit of sniffles, got allergies. It's like whenever the seasons change, and going to 3 different cities in 1 week last week did not help at all. But I'm here, and we're going to get started. This is my legal disclaimer. I always like to start off with that. I'm not a lawyer, but I played one on the internet before successfully. Whenever I do an offensive talk, and most people say my talks are offensive, but I always have the disclaimer in there. So if I talk about like I did something bad or I'm doing something bad, just remember the kittens. I'm adorable. I won't try to steal from you, kill you, or ruin you financially unless you pay me first. So when I get to those parts, it's like There's also another disclaimer. Because one of the cons I did last week was at the Guest of the Homeland Security, and I had to explain. Yes, I pick on the government a lot in this talk, okay? It's not because I don't like the government or the feds, it's just they're really good at giving bad examples of security. So why not? So, I mean, I'm paying taxes, it's like I should get something out of it, right? Because, so there we go. So just when you get that, so if there's any feds in here, and I'm sure there are, it's like just don't, well, I'm on any list you could put me on anyway, let's be honest, okay? It's like, so, YOLO. This is the title of the talk, I pony not. Quite frankly, what that basically is going to be the top 3 things I love to do, or I love my clients to do when I'm robbing them. The 3 things I love for them to do because it's like it makes it easier to rob them. And then also the top 3 things I hate for them to do because that makes it harder for me to rob them. And then after we get that, it's just some funny stories. It's like then we're going to get into like the vegetable stuff of it. It's like the meat and vegetables where it's like we talk about some of the things that you can take back to your workplace. Some questions I want you to ask your company. So a little bit about me, if you don't know, it's like, if you see the upper left-hand corner, that's me robbing a bank in Beirut, Lebanon for the National Geographic special, Breakthrough, Season 2, Episode 2, which with an amazing cameo by Dave Kennedy in it, so that was awesome. It's like, and then on the right side, you'll see me in the news, not as much as other people, but in the lower left-hand corner are my favorite pictures, because those are me actually robbing people. That's me breaking the very lower one. That corridor is in a 5-star French hotel in the Riviera. I was robbing them barefoot, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pajama bottoms, and a t-shirt, and I had full access to the server. I ended up that engagement just from that elevator ride going back up with the master keys for the hotel and an unlocked workstation in their back employee office area. It was a 5-star hotel. They provided everything, so that was good. And in the upper left hand, you see the little red circle. That's me getting an employee to get out of their desk at their headquarters of a bank branch, and as I installed malware on his computer. It's like, so that was nice. But my favorite one is that's a computer that I literally just walked behind a bank teller line and stole. I unplugged it while the teller next to me was working, and I was sort of rude because I didn't even say hello or anything. It's like I felt bad about it, sort of, but I was so mean on the bank branch before, where I told this bank manager all these wonderful things, and I just like crushed him like a little puppy, and it was horrible. So on this one, I was like, well, I'm not even going to talk to anybody. I'm just feeling too bad. So I just walked in and didn't say a word, and then just robbed them that way. So that's what I do. I rob people to help them, and I also give talks and try to do security awareness, because my whole thing is I don't do like social engineering engagements. I don't do red teaming. It's like I'm not that cool. It's like I do security awareness engagements. I'm trying to educate, not as much as I'm trying to pwn. And one of the things I want to talk about is like in our industry, it's like what we have these categories. We've got the elite red team ninjas that go in to companies. It's like, and they talk about that. It's like, I mean, you see all the stuff that you saw before, and I'm like, oh my God, that's like, I'm never going to be able to get that cool, to be able to do those kind of tools. But it's like, but those also are sometimes, it's like, if you don't properly frame it to your clients, you're giving them a false sense of security. It's like, it's like, that's one of the key things that we have to worry about. It's like we give these, clients, and we tell them, it's like, oh yeah, we came in here, we went through the skylight, and said, no, it's like, we used our red team magic, and we put on our robes and wizard hats, and it's like, and we totally, punched people in faces, and they lost their plans, and we like totally compromised everybody. And how much does that give a value to them? It's like, how much is it? Because then your clients are going like, we're safe now. No, we just showed you how we destroyed everything. So, well, yeah, but you guys are like ninjas. Like, of course we failed against you. So that means that the typical people, the people that we really have to worry about, we're going to be fine with them. We'll catch them. You guys were amazing. No, you need to explain to them it's more like the lower right-hand corner. That's 90% of the attacks that go out there. It's like you got to show them sometimes it's just basic. It's like I tell people I don't believe in advanced persistent threats. Okay? APT is what the C-levels tell the public and the shareholders so they can figure out that it's like, they got pwned so easily. That's all that is, the terminology. It's marketing terminology now at this point. APT for me stands for adequate phishing technique. That's APT. It's like, and I don't do any kind of APT. I just do bad. Basic, adorable destruction. That's it. I just try to be bad. It's like the most basic way, just walking in. So it's like, you got to understand, you got to build that. And it's like, and it's very important. And it's a big call for a lot of red team companies. It's like, one of the things is like, there are companies out there that do, Dave Kennedy does a class on purple teaming. It's like, he actually tries to involve the blue team in the red team assessment, trying to educate them as they go. And that's important and vital. You can't just show them how magically you appeared and destroyed something and then disappear, ninja smoke, gone. It's like you've got to be able to be there to talk to them and educate them and explain to them why the risks are and why it's important that they fix it. And one of the other problems that we're facing, let's be honest, is you look at the left, and that's what your executives are expecting, right? Your executives expect that. You need to build the walls. You need, bigger firewalls. Make them bigger. It's like you will have the APTs pay for it. And does that really work out very well? It's like, because you know why? You go with that. You go like, yes, let's do that. Let's get that going. We'll need this, and well, hold on. You got the budget for the stuff on the right. Okay? We want what's on the left, but we're going to give you enough to build out what's on the right. And you're like, can I at least put a guy with some binoculars on the top there? Can you give me something? Throw me a bone here, right? So it's that constant thing. So one of the things I want to talk about, and some of the things that I'm talking about, are things that are not going to cost too much money. It's like, some of them might, but it's like just things that you're going to have to ask. Some of the things that we deal with, because it's like, I don't do sophistication. It's like this. Does this ever give you the appearance that I might be sophisticated in any way, shape, or form? No. It's like, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of the things that we can do. One of the things that I love my clients to do is to have employees that are not empowered or educated to question the unusual. I love that. That is amazing. Because you know why? 99% of the companies, the employees don't understand that they're part of your security team. They don't figure out that that's part of their job description. That's not their fault. That's yours. It's like they're not educated and empowered to actually make that change. I did an engagement at the beginning of this year in Boston for a company. It was in downtown area. It was a very secured facility till I got there. And it's like, and I'm in there, and I've got a jacket on, and it's like, and I have a USB Ninja cable. It's like, it looks like an iPhone charging cable. And I went around, and I was like trying to get caught at this point. It's like the day before, I totally pwned them. I stole everything. And so this one I was trying to give, when I do a security awareness engagement, there's actually a point where I tried to get caught. So this part, I was trying to be very obvious. So I literally went up with just the cable. It was not attached to a device. It wasn't even attached to a phone. I went with the cable, went up to someone's desk, like, hey, I'm with IT. It's like, we're trying to make sure that you're not charging your devices on your computer because of the GPO policies, and make sure the USB stuff is disabled for that kind of transfer because it messes with the NetBEUI stack on the network. It's like the TCP/IP, it's like conflicts. So it's like, we've got to make sure that happens. You're supposed to be using the charger on the power outlet and stuff, because therefore it doesn't have to do an interference, magnetic fields. So I do that, and I plug the cable into their computer. And then I reach in my jacket and I pull out a detonator. It's not really a detonator, but it sounds cooler if I call it detonator. It's like it's a little square little box with a little antenna. It's got 2 buttons on it. And I push the button, boop. It doesn't really go boop, but that really sounds cool, right? They should actually put that in there. Okay, still, sorry, I digress. Okay, this morning I'm rambling. So it's like, so boop, and I execute. All of a sudden, on their computer, Notepad pops up. It auto-magically types, test completed successfully. Thank you for your cooperation. Smiley emoji. And I'm like, cool, thank you, just wanted to make that test. And they're like, you know what their response was? Oh, legit, cool, okay, good. Anything else? No, I'm good. No one said anything. I plugged the cable in, Notepad pops up and starts typing like your computer is possessed by poltergeist, and you're like, seems legit. There's a disconnect. There is a disconnect. 8 machines, one after the other. I did that. Afterwards, I went to them, because it's like, what I do is once I've destroyed you, it's like I come back afterwards, it's like after about 2 minutes, after I show I successfully got away, and then I try to educate each single person, and I say, hey, remember when I did that really sketchy thing? That was bad. I was a bad guy. I was doing bad things. When you see that again, don't let that happen, what you just did, because that was bad. Did I mention the bad part? Okay, good. It's like, no, I mean bad, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, good. Okay, so we go there, and I went up to them, and I told them, and I explained to them. I said, like, why? Weren't you curious how that happened? And they're like, yeah, but it's like I didn't feel like comfortable. It's like I didn't want to, like, speak out. It's like they weren't empowered. They knew something was wrong, but they weren't empowered to say something about it. December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor. One of the first places that had a radar station in the world. The world was at war. Not the U.S., but, the rest of the world. There's other places around. Okay, good. So that place was at war. And you know what happened? A guy manning the radar station saw planes coming from an unknown vector. He's like, dude, where are these planes coming from? They're not supposed to be here. Talks to his supervisor, says, hey, there's the planes. It's like they're not supposed to be coming from this direction. Supervisor's immediate response, probably our training planes. That should be fine. Spoiler alert, it was not fine. It's like, but that's what happens. We don't empower employees to think. It's like, we need to speak up. We need to do something. We need to actually say, this is not right. We need to make sure that they're empowered to do that kind of stuff. It's like, you need to make sure your employees are empowered and educated. I've robbed so many places, and it's like, and I've come across the people, and I'm like, oh, you're going to catch me. Look how sketchy AF I look right now. It's like, you're definitely, and they walk by, and I'm like, really? Really? That's your response? It's like, it's like, I'm rooting for them to catch me. I robbed the bank in Amman, Jordan, where it's like the lady, I literally compromised 5 machines while she was telling me not to do it. And I was agreeing with her. And I still did it. Because she wasn't empowered. She didn't know who to contact. She didn't know what to do with that kind of situation. We need to get our employees better trained. And not just better trained, but better empowered to be able to make decisions to say, I need to call someone. Do they have an extension number they know who to call? Do they have an email they know who to forward that to? You need to make sure your employees have that information. They're your best line of defense. They're your biggest asset and security. And if we just keep looking at them as liability, we fail. One of the things I hate, not the CIA, don't worry. It's like, I tell people, I don't know if this is the lobby of the CIA. Is this the lobby of the CIA headquarters? Okay, there's the Fed. So I tell people the only way I'm going into the CIA headquarters, let's be honest, is with a bag over my head going through the back door. Okay, so it's like, so I don't see myself going there anytime soon to verify that this is the picture. But I hate lobbies that are highly monitored and are not made to loiter in, because I'm a loiterer. I like to loiter. Not litter, that's horrible. Don't do that stuff, that's bad, okay? But I love to loiter. It's like I'll just hang around, see where the traffic patterns are, see what the guards are doing, see where the cameras are. Starbucks and lobbies, yes, please. It's like, you know, I mean, I'm not drinking a cafe loco maca chicha, whatever those things are called, but it's like I'll have some hot chocolate and just, you know, with my Wi-Fi pineapple running and seeing what I can grab. It's like, that's all. So I really hate lobbies that are very well monitored. And that reminds me of another story, which is what also probably put me on the list and put a bag over my head. But I was in Moscow last year. It's like I was going to the hacker conference there, as one does. And some friends of mine that were there say, hey, it's like while you're in town, why don't you go and head over to the Kaspersky office and say hello? It's like, well, I'm actually friends with Eugene Kaspersky. It's like he's a cool guy. Met him in Germany once. It's like, which is the reason why I'm on another list. And I said, sure. So I decided to go hang out to the office. So I walked up there. I had to take the subway, and it's like, because I like going to subways, and the Moscow subway is amazingly beautiful. It is like a freaking museum. They have chandeliers, they have frescoes, they have tile work. It's like each station. I spent one day just going through their subway without even leaving the outside of that subway station. So I went there. That had nothing to do with the story. I just added that. But it's like, so I went to the lobby, and their lobby was well open. It's like, there's like a guard over here by their employee entrance, and then there was another guard on the other side by the receptionist desk, and there was this nice leather couch and this really unusual long-legged elephant statue that was really cool looking. It's like, and so I was like, I went there. It's like, so, and I'm not trying to rob Kaspersky, okay? I'm not trying to like figure out how I'm going to break in. Well, no, I am trying to figure out how I'm breaking in, but that's not because I was going to break in. It's just how my brain works. It's like whenever I go someplace new, I'm like, this is a really nice place. How would I rob them? You know, it's just one of those things I do. Come on, we all have that, right? You know, it's like, well, just me? Okay, weird. Okay, so I go and do that. So it's like I go and I'm like looking around, and it's like I'm just, and so I'm going to go sit down and see what I can see what the pattern is. Wait, because I was like, you know, 15, 20 minutes early. So I don't know why I just looked at my watch there, but it's like, it doesn't matter. But so I went and did that. I went and sat down. Before my butt touched leather, one of the guards came, excuse me, comrade, can I be of assistance? It's like, do you need to go to the receptionist over this way? It's like, how can I help you? I'm like, this guy, his name had to be Ivan. It's like, this guy was like huge. He had like a shirt that was 2 times too small or muscles 4 times too big. I don't know which. But I'll promise you this, okay? When you're that big, you can be as polite as you want. It's like, you know, and he was very polite. He was very professional. He was very nice. But he let me know in no uncertain terms that, you're going to register right now. It's like, that was not an option. It's like, there was no other, like, you know, I'm like, you are right. I do need to register right now. What was I thinking? It's like, I was just a little tired, but yes, I will go right there to the receptionist right now. What do you need from me? It's like, and I registered. And that's how you do it. A guest in your lobby shouldn't be there for more than 5 minutes. They should not be there. It's not supposed to be a comfortable place. It's supposed to be a meeting place. It's supposed to be a place for you to get and verify. It's like, it's a point of ingress or egress, not a place to be comfortable. It should not be a place for people to be able to hang out in. Because if you do that, you create that public space, then you have people like me that are going to be in there doing nefarious things. It's like, so you have to watch that. Make sure you have a well-monitored, and make sure your security is educated on what to look for. So many times, it's like I've gone into buildings, it's like in security, they don't have a clue. They're not interested in figuring out who's loitering, if you look like if you look like you're supposed to be there, it's like they're not going to give you too much of a hard time. And it's like, heck, I hardly ever look like I'm supposed to be where I'm at. It's like, and they still really don't give me that much of a hard time. It's like, so you need to understand that. You need to make sure that your security knows that if there's someone is in their lobby for more than 5 minutes, that should cause suspicion. They should call someone. They should go and talk to the person and see what they're doing and what they need and what assistance they are. But we're not, because it's building security, it's not really our concern. Guess what? It is. You need to let your building security know that, even if it's a different company. Now, there's no TSA employees in here, are there? I'm joking. This is a security conference. There's no TSA in here. It's like, but one of the things that I really, really love, okay, is no egress filtering or internal monitoring inside your city, inside your company. It's like, well, TSA, it's inside the city security theater at its finest. But still, this is one of the problems that we have, besides the TSA, not the picture, but one of the problems we have is no egress filtering. How many people make sure that their network is blocked off and firewalled and secured from the outside internet? Because the internet's bad. How many people are watching what goes out of your company onto the network? I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not trying to kick anybody while they're down. Sony, seriously. They lost 1.8 terabytes of data out of their network, and no one disputed that. Come on, guys. 1.8. Networking should have at least called saying, do you need me to increase the bandwidth? Someone should have noticed something. Someone should have said something. We noticed that you're transferring over a terabyte of data to Paraguay. Can I help you with that? Something should have been said. But no one did. I have a payload on my Bash Bunny, and it's very simple. Opens up a command prompt, telnets to towel.blinkylights.nl. It's an amazing payload. Because remember, I'm doing security awareness, I'm not trying to pwn you. So that payload, what it opens up is that command prompt, it opens up ASCII Star Wars. You should really try it out. It's really cool. It just runs ASCII Star Wars in your command browser. My important question is, why is Bob in accounting able to telnet to the Netherlands? No offense to any Bobs or accounting people, but seriously, why are they able to open up that port and communicate out and no one say anything? No one notices that that's an issue. There should have been a SWAT team at well, maybe not SWAT team, that's a little overkill, but it's like, there should have been somebody that would have gone and said, hey, it's like, what are you doing? Someone should have noticed that. It's like, I mean, that's what we need. We need them to respond and look at things. It's like, I have never seen a company where it's like they had role-based like that. It's like, they was very lucky or unlucky. It's like, but it was a good example of catching those people that actually had put their people in different groups. Because Bob in accounting should not be able to telnet. It's like, so you have to monitor those things. Don't just monitor what's coming at you. Monitor what's leaving your network. How many of those attacks, when it's doing the payload and then it's trying to call back out, could be detected, could be seen as sketchy if you're monitoring those kind of outbound connections? And it could stop the attacker before they even download their command and control, before they download their actual malicious files. Start looking for those things. Make sure you have, and it's firewall rules. It's setting up monitoring. It's setting up, every firewall rule should go back to a policy. And the very last rule should be what? Any denial. Exactly. It's like, so everything should be cataloged. You should have something that blocks just willy-nilly outbound traffic. I just said willy-nilly in the conference. That's awesome. I haven't used that in a while. One of the things that I hate, dual-factor enterprise-wide authorization. I hate that. Nothing ruins my day more than someone actually deciding to actually implement this properly. Okay? How many banks have I gone to that I have seen the upper executives, because I've gotten into their offices, because of course I've gotten into their offices, it's like with their token, You know, because the executives, they're very big. Banks are very big about multi-factor authentication. To do a wire transfer over $100,000 or $1 million, you need a USB hardware token to do that transfer. Guess where that token usually is? In the laptop. No, it's in the laptop. And if it's not there, don't worry, top drawer. In my job, I go through a lot of drawers in this industry, okay? It's like, and it's always, trust me, that token, if it is not in the laptop, it's going to be in the drawer. It's like, that's not multi-factor authentication. That's PCI compliance. It's like, and everybody's PCI compliant until they're not, right? It's like, that's just something that you say to make people feel better. It's like, don't get me started on that. So that's one of the things you have to worry about. I also love dual factor authentication or segmentation of networks in the doors, in the buildings. It's like, I really love it when a client is actually putting RFID badges and keypads. Because that messes me up. That's like, uh-oh. It's like, because I can clone an RFID badge, but it's harder to get that PIN code. It's like that slows me down. And the whole thing of the defenses are not just about deterrence. It's not just about detection. It is about slowing the attacker down. So it becomes more obvious for them to be detected. It's like that's one of the things that we want to do. And that is a very big slowdown factor. It's like having that kind of segmentation. One of the things I love is not following established procedures. Because that's what people always refer back to, right? Well, we had it in our policy that they shouldn't have done it. Oh, we had it in this that they shouldn't have done it. Well, that's just great. Did they do it? Yeah, they did it. But it was in our policy that they shouldn't have done it. Yeah, that helps, right? This is a great example. Sorry, Air Force. Two civilians somehow breached an Air Force base and were found only when one of them told the airman she had been kidnapped. Legit. People acting all going hysterics about running into Area 51. Mother, you could have driven in there with a captive and no one would have stopped you. It's like, screw this whole Narada running thing. It's like, just drive up with a kidnapped victim. The guy literally drove up onto the base. The guard, I don't know what they were doing, but they obviously weren't looking at the guy driving a Honda Civic, and the woman going like in the passenger seat. It's like she self-rescued herself. She managed to elude them, and I get up to the guardsman and find one of the guardsmen while this guy was trying to figure out how to get out of the Air Force base. I could have just imagined that conversation. Like, help me, I've been kidnapped. And the guardsman's like, well, first of all, how did you get here? It's like, are you authorized to be on this base? Does it look like I'm authorized to be on this base? And that's not the first occurrence. Oh my gosh. Another great one is during the height of the Cold War, a Soviet spy walked onto an Air Force base in Germany. He drove, okay, but he walked up to the plane, a jet fighter. He detached a missile from the wing. He put it in a wheelbarrow. And I don't know if he stole the wheelbarrow, but I really hope he did, because that makes it even cooler than just like bringing his own wheelbarrow, because it's like, you bring your wheelbarrow. I mean, that would show that he was prepared. I mean, the guy knew what he was doing. But it's like, I hope he just stole the wheelbarrow while he was there. It's like, put the missile in a wheelbarrow, wheeled it to his car. It was a Mercedes-Benz, Germany. It's like, put it in his Benz, put it in the back seat. The missile stuck out the back window. So he put a red flag on it, because German laws are German laws. You don't F with those, okay? It's like, put the red flag on the missile tip, drove it back to his apartment, disassembled it, and piece by piece mailed it back to the motherland. I mean, it was German postal service. It was very efficient. All pieces made it back. It's like, can we all agree maybe some policies weren't followed on that one? Maybe sometimes you feel like your security is so tight that that's the problem. It's like you start asking yourself, like, hey, who would even try to go into this? Who would even try to come into our facility? It's like some guy with a wheelbarrow maybe. It's like, that may be a problem. You need to figure those things out. You need to be able to make sure that you're putting those things into account and people are actually taking the security seriously. Now, the other thing is, so what's the point of this? The point of those funny stories was honestly to get you to be here. It's like I was trying to entertain you. It's like get you like all in here, make sure it's like, everybody's going to be here. So we start asking some serious questions. It's like, I want you to start asking these questions when you get back. It's like to your company, to your enterprise. It's like, I want you to start asking some questions about, to your executives or to your regular security team, things you can do to make security better in your environment right now. One of the questions that you have to ask is, insider threats, which one fits the bill? It's like, you got Robert Hansen over here, it's like, an FBI favorite, or, for bad guys, I guess. But still, that's a malicious actor, right? That was a malicious guy. He was the bad guy. He was trying to do bad things. They were ready for those guys, right? They have protocols from malicious guys. Because you're always worried about, we always assume an insider threat is malicious. But really? Because sometimes the insider threat can just be stupid. Once again, thank you TSA for an example. This is right here, a TSA, Department of Homeland Security guy, thinking it was totally legit to put inside the Washington Post a picture, close up, of all the keys for the TSA locks. And yes, spoiler alert, you can now download all of those keys and 3D print them yourself and have a set of keys for the TSA locks. The same government, I remind you, that wants to have keys, digital keys, to your mobile devices. Yeah, I trust them with those. It's like, because when told and questioned about this, Homeland Security was like, it's okay. It's like, it wasn't really a security protocol. It's like, it was more a convenience thing. It's like, yeah, we shouldn't have done it, but, oops, are bad, no problem. It's like, and they're never going to fix that. So, enjoy your next trip. It's like with your checked luggage. But that was not malicious. That person wasn't trying to be malicious. That person made a mistake. Did an engagement once where I got in before I got into the building because someone had put in a Linksys router. And why did I know it was a Linksys router? I'm glad you asked. Good question. It's like, it said Linksys on it. Unencrypted, wide open. Well, me being me, and it's like, eventually I'm going to be in this meeting and get permission to do all this. I start looking at it in the parking lot, and I'm like, lo and behold, it's their internal network. I'm like, well, the bad news is I can't get Netflix. The good news is I've got their DNS, AD. It's like I've got everything else. So that's okay. It's like, you know what happened? Was it a malicious insider? No. An executive wanted to be more productive. An executive was tired of having to go into the conference room with his laptop and not being able to connect to the corporate network and check his email and respond quickly enough because he was wasting so many hours inside the meeting rooms that he decided, I'm going to be a productive and helpful employee and employee of the year. I'll put in this router, connect the network to the internet jack, and it's like, and now I'll be able to get my email. He was very productive. So was everybody else that decided to drive by and, take a copy of all their databases. It's like, so that's a problem. He was not a malicious insider. Stop just looking for malicious insiders. Sometimes the insider threat you're going to face is just someone eager to help. Someone who's just doing the wrong thing. Someone who just makes a mistake. They can be your insider threat as well. Oh, and the hits keep coming. Sorry, feds. It's like, here's another one. It's like, this was by a contractor hired by the Border Control. They said that a contractor downloaded against policy and procedures over 300 gigs of photos and data from the border checkpoints onto their contractor network, which was then popped. This is my surprise face, by the way, in case you're wondering. It's like it was popped and then downloaded by an attacker, a criminal. And then, but one of the other things you have to understand, and one of the things that get us the most, is also how does your incident response handle it? Because Homeland Security made their incident response worse. First thing that happened bad was it becoming public that they got popped like that. The second thing that made it even worse was how they responded to it. They went out into the public and said, don't worry, citizens. It's like this was the infraction. We've contained it. We've scoured the dark web. That's how you're supposed to say it. The dark web. It's like, and we did not find any traces of those photos or that data out there. You're safe. We're the government. It's like, we're here to help. So yeah, so that was great for a whole 3 or 4 hours until Joseph Cox, it's like, who did a reporter who went and you know what he did? He searched the dark web. Must have been a different dark web, dark web adjacent to the dark web that they went and searched, okay? But all I know is that he searched the dark web, and he was able to come up in 30 minutes, all 300 gigs of those photos and those pictures and that data giving out for free to whoever wanted to download them. Now, how willing am I going to believe Border Control or Homeland Security when they come back with the next incident and say they've got it handled and they've got it taken care of? When you get popped, it's important to say, and trust me, come on, let's face it, we're all getting breached at some point. How you respond to it, how early you detect it are the key factors. So how do you respond to the public? How do you assure them? It's by your discretion, but also by your transparency and admitting and acknowledging what occurred. That's important too. That keeps trust. That keeps clients happy. So it's like, well, I mean, we're still the clients here, but, we're just citizens, so whatever. But still, that's one of the things you have to worry about. Now, how also, another one, it's like, who do you ask for identification in your building? You're right. Very good. Very good response. Everyone. Every one of these people you ask for ID. It's like, I was at a conference and Ben 10 from Trusted Tech, it's like he's given me a lot of good actual feedback and stuff, on talking about security awareness engagements and how he does gamification and what he's come across on his clients. And one of the things he's brought up was that one of his clients, they have a game that they play inside the company. And every quarter, someone different has their badge altered. The only thing altered on it is instead of the employee's face, it's Waldo. So the whole company plays Where's Waldo? And the first person to detect and see who's got the Waldo badge wins a prize. Like, $5 Starbucks card or something, they win the prize. Imagine that. It's like, how is that increased? Because now people are paying attention to who's got an actual employee badge. People are paying attention who's supposed to be in their area. Are they familiar? They still don't care about your security, spoiler alert, okay? But now there's something in it for them. Now there's something in it for them to be attentive and be security aware. That's how you do it. It's like you give that gamification, you make it interesting for them. What does your social media profile really say about you? Now, you're not allowed to go and say, hey, you can't have this on your deck. It's like on your social media. It's like a lot of companies, I'm not trying to get to that point. Okay? Because trust me, I got some really sketchy stuff on my Twitter feed and stuff, every once in a while on Facebook. My worst one, when I was working for the bank, I used to work for a bank, and the CIO came to me after DEF CON, and there was a little problem with it because it turns out that one year, it was like 3 or 4 years ago, Dave Kennedy tried to steal the awkward hug movement, okay? I always tell people, I give credit where credit's due. Dave started the hug movement. I just made it awkward. It's like, but he started trying to do the awkward hug thing, and our big victim of choice was Paul Asadorian. So it's like he started off with one awkward hug, and then it's like with Paul, then I had to give another awkward hug with Paul. And all of a sudden, this mother had to up the game with doing a topless photo between him and Paul both being topless, giving awkward hugs. And I'm like, being me, I'm like, challenge accepted. Okay? So the very next DEF CON, it's like, there is a picture now on the internet. It's still there. It's like, I'm sorry. It's like, but we moved the banner down that says hack naked, ironically enough, this way over our midsections. I took my pants off in the middle of DEF CON in the vendor area. It's like Paul thinking ahead. He was already wearing shorts. And then we took our shirts off. And then we proceeded to give a very nice, warm, awkward hug embrace behind the banner. The Tuesday, I get back to work. First thing the CIO talks to me, Jayson, I don't really say much about your profiles or anything, but it's like, you got a picture that you took from DEF CON. Is it really why? I'm in Oklahoma, okay? This is causing issues for a lot of people, I'm sure. It's like, and they're like, I don't know if do you really think that portrays the right kind of message or something? Are you trying to does that present you in your best possible light? I'm like, look, dude, seriously. It's like, I tweet what I want to tweet. It's like, I don't put where I work and stuff ever in my Twitter profile and stuff, and I've got more followers than this bank does, so I don't really care. It's like, sorry, not sorry. That's just the way it goes. And it's like, and he couldn't say anything about that because that is. It's like, that's sometimes the way it is. You don't want to get to the point where you start scheduling or you start talking to your employees about what they can or can't do. But you do educate them on the ramifications about it. It's like, I was robbing this one bank. It's like one of the business managers from the bank on her Facebook profile had it totally misconfigured with the public settings, and I was able to see her cell phone and her home address. And trust me, we weren't friends. And trust me, after the presentation I gave on this, it's like we're never going to be friends. But it's like that information was there. The very next picture in the slide was a picture of her house. Guys, remember the kittens, okay? I got to get from Google Street View. Gosh, y'all give me some creepy vibes. No, it's like I took it from Google Street View with a picture of her house. We have to make sure that we're educating employees that yes, you can post what you want, but sometimes a criminal or an attacker is going to go after you because of the information that you give. You have to let them be aware of that so they can start seeing that. Show them how to log out of their accounts and then look on the web anonymously at their profiles and see what they can see. To see if that information could be used against them personally or against the company. It's like you have to educate them on that. They're not doing it maliciously. They may be doing it because they just don't understand. Phishing. It's one of the leading causes of compromise, but do your employees really take it seriously? Target lost over $300 million. And the kicker to it is what? It was one email, one click, from one employee from their HVAC company. It wasn't even a target employee. It was their HVAC company who led to the compromise. You need to let your employees know being suspicious, how to be suspicious on these emails, how to take those things seriously, how to actually look and verify when a suspicious email comes in. Because sometimes they are sophisticated, sometimes they are specialized. It's like, it makes made to be more believable. Also, do you vet your security systems to make sure that they are operating as intended? I love this one from the NSA. I had to put one in for the NSA so that way I could piss off all the agencies and stuff. I didn't want to like I was playing favorites or anything. So it's like, so this one that said the NSA improperly overcollected call detail records, for a year or two. And have you ever noticed that just like the, Facebook, the NSA never goes and it's like, oh, we undercollected this year, sorry, our bad? Have you ever noticed that Facebook has never gone and said, oh, I'm sorry, guys. It's like we accidentally did a reset on your settings and made everything more private. It's like that never happens, right? How many people are putting an IDS system into their network and then just going, whew, snort installed, default signatures in and running, we're good. you're going to have a bad day, right? You've got to fine tune. But also, how many people run malware on their internal network? Probably a lot more than you think. But no, but to test it. How many people segment their own network, segment a test area off that has the same endpoints, the same network controls, but is more shut down, and then runs executables, runs malware, tries to go and call back, tries to actually test all those nice fancy blinky boxes that they bought, and test it and verify that they actually work. Because I don't care how good your endpoint protection is if you didn't set it up properly and that malware is able to get back out. So test it. Every year, if not every quarter, test your internal network to make sure that all those cool devices that you bought, it's like actually do what they're told. Because that sales engineer was a great guy. Took you out to dinner, took you out to lunch. It was like really great and stuff, you know. The blinky box now has blue lights instead of red, so therefore it's Gen X, machine learning and AI and everything. It's like you can tell by the blue lights. It's like, so it's got all that going for you. But check to make sure it's actually working like you're supposed to. Also give metrics. Constantly record numbers for your executives. It's like show them actionable information that you have over the year, so when you ask for that more money the next year so nothing happens in their network again, you have something to back it up. It's like make sure you're doing that. And one of the things I want to leave it on, a confession, this is my confession year, it's like you should have noticed within the last decade that, man, that Jayson talk, he keeps almost saying the same thing. My whole career has been based on saying the same thing in different ways for you to pay attention to it. Start educating and empowering your employees and then enforcing those rules. Your employees are your first line of defense. They don't have a clue about it because you just treat them like a liability. Because you treat them like they're just something that you need to protect the technology from. Screw trying to get more technology to solve your people problem. Start getting your people to protect your technology. When you start getting that blend going back and forth, you'll have a better environment. It's like, and also, you still have the blinky boxes. Don't worry, vendors that are in here. It's like, I sponsored for this. It's like, no, blinky boxes are important. But if you don't have actionable intelligence and people acting responsibly for it and responding to it, then it does you nothing. It's like having a radar station in Hawaii. You have to make sure someone's manning it and doing actionable intel with it. It's like that's how you win. That's how you get your defenses stronger, is by investing in your employees, because they're the biggest idea system you're ever going to have, but you're not fine-tuning them or actually letting them know they're part of it. Y'all think I'm joking. I'm done. Thank you.